Okay, what if one of the most beloved, most stable, foundational couples in all of sitcom history just never happened? Today, we're going to explore that exact road not taken for the show Friends and see how one little choice could have completely changed the story we all know and love. I mean, really, just think about that for a second. No secret romance in London, no iconic proposal with all those candles, no Monica and Chandler as the stable, emotional heart of the group. It's a pretty wild thought, and believe it or not, it all comes down to one single massive decision. So yeah, that's the big question we're diving into. What if Monica Geller ended up not with Chandler Bing, but with the older, mustachioed, and, let's be honest, incredibly charming Dr. Richard Burke? To really get the weight of that choice, we have to rewind a little bit and remember just how awesome the Monica and Richard relationship actually was. You remember when Richard showed up in season 2, right? He wasn't just some other fling for Monica. This guy was charismatic, he was emotionally mature, and he genuinely cared for her. I mean, compared to a lot of her other kind of chaotic relationships, this one felt solid. It felt real. For a minute there, it honestly looked like the perfect match. But, and it was a huge but, there was this one single heartbreaking problem. Richard offered Monica everything she seemed to want in a partner, except for the one thing she just couldn't live without. See, he'd already raised a family. He was done with that chapter of his life. Monica, on the other hand, dreamed of being a mother. That one single difference, that was the deal breaker. But what if it wasn't a deal breaker? What if she chose differently? Let's go down that alternate timeline. The road not taken. So just imagine Monica, in that moment, making a totally different calculation. For a character who craves control and order, Richard's stability was so alluring. She might have convinced herself that a great love was a rarer thing than the dream of having kids, that his adoration was worth giving up that one thing. In this reality, you can kind of picture how it would all play out. First, Monica makes the big sacrifice. Their love probably gets even deeper, which eventually leads to marriage. But that core conflict, it doesn't just vanish into thin air. The desire for a family was so deep in Monica's identity, like the core of the life she'd always planned, it would have absolutely resurfaced years later, creating this deep, quiet tension in what looked like a perfect marriage. And here's where it gets really interesting. Monica's choice doesn't just affect her. The biggest consequence, the most massive ripple effect, would be on none other than Chandler Bing. And it is no exaggeration to say that this one decision would have completely derailed his entire character arc. His growth, his happiness, his whole future. It was all tied to Monica being available. Which means the number of times Mondler would have happened is 0. A big fat 0. Their romance famously kicked off almost by accident in London. It was a moment of comfort between two friends that just became so much more. If Monica had been with Richard, that moment, that whole catalyst, it just never happens. And the fallout from that one non-event is huge. Without Monica, Chandler probably just keeps using humor to hide his deep-seated fear of commitment. Their relationship, which really became the emotional anchor for the entire group in the later seasons, is just gone. So, no proposal, no wedding, no journey to adoption. Some of the most heartfelt moments of the whole show would be totally erased. And Monica, now married to an older guy in a different stage of life, might even start to drift away from the daily Central Park hangouts, changing the entire chemistry of the group. All of which brings us back to the story we actually got, and a closer look at exactly why it was so powerful. When you put the two relationships side by side, you see this fundamental difference. Richard's love was passionate, it was mature, but it came with a huge generational gap and completely different goals in life. Chandler's love, well, that was something else entirely. It wasn't a whirlwind romance, it grew slowly, organically, from this deep friendship built on years and years of shared history, trust, and just understanding each other. And that, right there, is the key takeaway. Monica's final choice wasn't just about who she loved more in a romantic, passionate sense. It was about choosing a partner whose dreams for the future were perfectly in line with her own. She chose someone to build a life with, not just live a life alongside. In the end, the story of Monica and Chandler just brilliantly illustrates this idea. Their relationship wasn't the obvious one, it wasn't the one that seemed perfect on paper. It was the messy, unexpected, and deeply real one that turned out to be the one that would last. So what do you think? In that alternate universe, could Monica have found real, lasting happiness with Richard? Or was Chandler, the funny guy next door, always her destiny? It's a fascinating question about what really makes a perfect partnership.